What's going on, hustlers? Back at you guys with another video. This one I'm kind of excited about. This one's going to be a banger. Before I get into this, having another weekly group coaching call tonight at 7 p.m. inside of our Skool community. Click the link down below to sign up. All the content I've ever created, it's in one place, and we have weekly group coaching calls. And you guys can reach out to me, ask me questions, reach out to other students. It's a nice little government contracting form. But without further ado, let's get right into the video. Today we're going to be breaking down NSN numbers, right? One thing that I want to preface, right, is a lot of times people throw around the buzzword of NAICS codes on the internet, right? Everybody's like, oh, you gotta have your NAICS codes right. You gotta have your NAICS codes right. When you're doing business with DLA, NAICS codes don't mean anything. The Defense Logistics Agency does not conduct any searches for any capable companies based off of NAICS codes. They don't search for items via NAICS codes. Again, straight from the horse's mouth, DLA Land and Maritime TKO seminar in Columbus, Ohio that I just attended. I believe it was in May. Yeah, and if you watch any of my other videos where I reveal everything that I learned from that, you can go see my security clearance badges and all that good stuff. That's how you know I'm not yapping, right? So NAICS codes not reliable, right? What we really want to be focusing on is FSC codes, okay? But today's video is about NSN numbers, and NSN numbers are comprised of FSC codes. So we're going to be breaking down NSN numbers, explaining where they come from, kind of what they mean, and how they're organized and how to interpret them, right? Because utilizing NSNs, that's going to be the biggest that's going to be the biggest metric that contracting officers use to search for items. That should be the biggest metric that you guys are using to identify individual products as well. And then, as you can see here on the screen, NSNs are comprised of FSC codes, or really FSCG, Federal Supply Class Group codes, right? So without further ado, let's get right into kind of this breakdown, right? So all NSNs are 13 digits. Yeah, I'm sorry, my phone is just on fire. So all NSN numbers, they're 13 digits, and they're all going to be organized the same way. 4 digits, 2 digits, 3 digits, and then another 4 digits, right? So anytime you see any kind of number in that setup, you immediately need to think, okay, this is an NSN number. What does NSN stand for, by the way? It's National Stock Number. So there's a whole bunch of different acronyms, and I have my acronym breakdown sheet, which is on the link in my bio on Instagram. It's completely free. You can break it. You guys can go get that, go download that. It's 100% free. You don't have to do anything. I email it to you. It's automated, right? But the NSN is comprised of the FSCG, so Federal Supply Class Grouping Code. So I call it FSC code, right? That's the most common terminology, but the technically accurate terminology is FSCG code, and then the NIN, or the NIN. So the FSCG code is the Federal Supply Class Group code, and then the NIN is the National Item Identifier number, right? So when you combine those two, right, Federal Supply Class Group code and the National Item Identification number, that is what gives birth to our NSN. So I know it's a lot of acronyms, but hopefully, this document will help break it down and make it pretty straightforward for you guys, right? So the first 4 digits, that's going to be your FSC code or FSCG code, right? Now, where does the G come from, right? Because everybody only talks about FSC code, including myself. So the G is the Federal Supply Group code, right? And then the FSC is the Federal Supply Class code, right? So FSG, it's the first 2 numbers out of the 4. So as you can see, broken down here, it's the first 2 numbers out of the 4, right? So in this instance, we know that 62 is the big group, and then the class code, right? So the first 2 numbers are kind of going to be more broad, and then the second 2 numbers are going to be a lot more specific, right? So, for example, the bearing FSC code, right? It's 3120, 3110, and 3130. I saw somebody commented down below, and they're like, oh, we're so happy you're making videos again, and we know it's genuine because your signature yawn. Yeah, because I'm always fucking working. But Yeah, so in the example with bearings, right? The federal supply group code is 31. First two digits are 3 and 1, and then the class code, so the kind of bearing, right, is going to be FSC code, right? So that's going to be the 1 0 or the 2 0 or the 3 0, right? So the understand FSC codes as you, or I'm sorry, NSN numbers as you read them, basically getting more and more specific as you go down the line of those 13 digits, right? So as we can see here, 62 is the federal supply group code, and then 40 is the class code, which is more specific. And then here, these two digits, this is actually going to tell you the country of origin that the item is going to come from, right? So realistically, you just want to be looking for anything that's not a 0 or a 1, right? So if you see anything and it's 0, it's 02 or 03 or 04, then we know it's not coming from the US, right? As you see here, this code indicates a country of origin, which is 00 and 01. These are US codes. So anytime you see anything that's not that, you might want to stop and then take a deeper look at what kind of item it is you're pursuing, right? And then here we have our NIN, National Item Identification Number, right? Now, this NIN is actually comprised of 3 different aspects, right? So this is the grouping number, right? So these 3 digits right here, this red box right here, this is the grouping number. And I know on this document it says it can be random, but it's not true. It usually identifies a subgroup because a lot of times, right, NSNs will be like, I'm just going to go back to bearings because it's the one that I know, 3110, right? So I believe that's mounted bearings. And then it'll be 01, so it's US based. And then the next 3 digits are going to identify a subgroup of mounted US manufactured bearings, right? So this very rarely is random. I don't know why it says it's random, but it's usually identifying a subgroup. And then this is the unique item number. So the last 4 digits, right? This is going to identify like these very specific part, right? So when we talk about the 3 F's of verifying, you know, a part is what the government's looking for, the form, fit, and function, right? This last 4 digits is going to tell you if there is a difference in the form, fit, and function. Primarily, in my experience, I've noticed that the last 4 digits tend to be different whenever the form is different, right? So you could have everything the same, right? So these first 9 numbers are all the same right here, and then these last 4 are different solely because like the color of the item is different, or something is manufactured with aluminum rather than titanium, right? So that's kind of what I've noticed in my experience is like the last 4 are going to identify the very, very specific part within that subgroup, right? So this tells you the classification of the item, first 4. The second grouping of numbers, these next 2 tell you what country it comes from. And then this identifies the subgroup within the classification of items, right? And then this identifies the specific part. So if we're going to go back to the bearing example, right? 3-1 is bearings, then 1-0 mounted bearings, and then the second group tells us it's an American group of mounted bearings, and then it tells us the subgroup is it's a mounted roller bearing, and then this one is going to be specific, right? And then let's say maybe it's a mounted roller bearing for the F-22 weapons system, right? So that is kind of the example. That's kind of how you would interpret that. So I hope that this video is kind of informative for you guys. Oh, one more thing I want to touch on, right? So where does this information come from? Where is it stored? Where does it come from? Did they just fucking pull it out of thin air? No. It comes from the FLIS. The FLIS is the Federal Logistics Information System, and the FLIS is responsible for basically gathering all the information about these different items, the manufacturers, the approved sources, the country of origin, all that good stuff. It compiles all that information about these items, and then it spits it out. So when people wonder, they're like, okay, I understand these acronyms and I understand what they're used for, but I can't swear anymore because now I'm monetized, which is tough. But they're going to be like, where did these items come from? They come from the Federal Logistics Information System, or the web FLIS. So you guys can go check out the FLIS. It's public information, and you guys can go look at that. And it's literally just a compilation of all the different items and then all the different like relevant pieces of information about these items. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, hustlers. Not only am I looking forward to your success, I'm absolutely sure of it. Check out our Skool community. It's $19, literally $19 a month. You spend more than that on a Netflix subscription. Check out our Skool community. We have weekly coaching calls with me. You guys can ask me questions. Hop in there. We're coming up on 250 members. As of right now, it's $19 a month. Once we get to 500 members, I'm going to increase that price. It's probably going to go to $50 a month. So as of right now, we're approaching 250 members. The next 250 of you guys get to get in at $19 a month. So click the link down below. Tap in with us on the Skool community. Hopefully I see you guys later this evening. Not only am I looking forward to your success, I'm sure of it. Let's go print those dollars.